right, welcome to the KissFAQ feedback loop, my opportunity to go through some of the comments that have been left on our videos over the past week. Always fun to have an interaction with people who are taking the time to leave a comment. So let's jump straight in with the first video of last week, which was a conversation with the Phantom. And obviously, the Phantom book's still available up on Amazon in its original form. The rebooted revisit is nearly sold out. But again, it's a very niche topic and long overdue having Ron on the channel to talk, about Kiss. He goes way back, as do I, with Kiss Asylum, and he was, of course, legendary for doing the Kiss Thought Vault there. He talks about it in the video, so we went a little bit off topic. To talk about some different areas of fandom as well and our past during that. Rex Metzer, I'm a lifelong fan, but I've never seen Phantom of the Park. I wish they would re-release it, but it doesn't sound possible. I guess I need to go watch it on YouTube. I did order the book. I can't wait. Attack of the Phantoms, if I recall, was included on one of the Kissologies. There is the TV version that I think is up on YouTube. There's a few different versions. I know I had the Cheesy Flicks DVD when it came out, and you can often pick those up cheap on eBay as well. But you can certainly go watch it on YouTube. It is worthwhile. Not my cup of tea, has never been my cup of tea. That's, I guess, part of the reason why it took me so long to get Ron onto the show. I'll be doing a feature on it because I do still have some material from Kiss Meets the Phantom that I don't think I've ever really used properly, so I'll probably do an article on my blog and a spoken word video in some form on that at some point. Andy Kiss Forever. Great interview, lots of honest opinions and insights, like a regular conversation with a fan, but better. Thanks, Andy. That's what the KissFAQ podcast tries to be, whether we're doing our regular shows or whether we're having a guest. We are just fans, all of us. Well, we very seldom have guests of higher caliber, people who've actually, done the other side of the equation. So that's all we are. We're just fans pontificating. But thank you. We appreciate your support. Squigums 6798. So this is the book that was going to be Easy Catman. They are serious. The Complete Guide to Kiss Meets the Phantom. Yes, it is. And Ron also responded to that comment, confirming that. Squigums continues. Squigums, God. I always loved Ron's Thought Vault at the Kiss Asylum website. I can't wait to get this book. Thanks. Now, I don't know if the Thought Vault is still up on Kiss Asylum. That site's gone through several hands since the Chris and Elizabeth White days. I still use it regularly for its news archive, which is still a very, very beneficial point in time. Backtrack a diary as such, and to see myself in there, going back to 96, 97, is always hilarious. So check it out, and if not, archive.org may have cache copies. You still have that for Otaku, one of the other granddaddies of the old websites. All right, second video for the week was Kiss Vinyl Minutes. Ken's back with Hot Shades and Purple Haze. I love how Ken does these videos. It's just him going through his record collection and, talking stream of consciousness, I guess, to a certain extent about those. Dairy Count, whatever. Thanks, Ken. Talking about the Love Gun Destroyer comparisons, I'm the writer of Bicentennial Chic, and the corresponding article on the FAQ. I don't do self-promotion too often, and I know some places don't allow it, so I thank you and admin for being cool about it. I didn't notice it, to be perfectly honest, but I seldom have a problem with people posting what they're doing on the FAQ. We're supposed to be a community that supports the fan community, and that means posting podcasts from other shows, projects from other creators, official things, unofficial things. Again, we're just a discussion board, so I try and keep it very organic. Now, people who are deliberately trying to cash in on certain things, they'll end up in the trash. There's a fine line, and it's a judgment call, and I try and do what's best for the community and for the people who those posts sometimes impact. So again, we're not territorial like some others. Getting back to the comment, that said, this Love Gun thing is an old theory I'd forgotten about, so when I met Ken Kelly in 2016, I never even thought to ask him about it. Anyway, just some fun speculation that's mentioned in the book. So I guess check out Bicentennial Chic. It sounds like it's a book. I'll have to look into that and see what the deal is. But that sounds like it could be an interesting topic just going from the title, and maybe something we can do as a show episode as well down the road, just like the suggestion for a similar kind of theme show around the 1978 year. Marks Almighty gets in on the comments. Great episode, Ken. Not the most popular album. No, Hot in the Shade is not a popular album, unfortunately. But I'm curious to take out my copy or copies to see what I've got. Oh, and I think they're not numbering them because it's a pain in the butt to number 1,000 covers. Marcus Almighty. Yeah, who knows why they're not numbering them, but again, that'll be a line item on an Excel spreadsheet to gold emboss numbering on it, and then it introduces all sorts of issues as well, and complexity is it has to be done as, I think, as a separate operation during the assembly line process. You know, the popularity of it, I always go back to 1989 and living in Singapore. I loved Hot in the Shade. It was a album, you know, that was right up there in terms of the amount of material, like Def Leppard's Hysteria had been. There were a lot of albums that were coming out that were, you know, pretty substantial. Appetite, I think, was pretty substantial as well. Metallica, Justice for All was certainly substantial. So I listened the hell out of it and wore out a vinyl copy. I had cassettes. That was my first Kiss CD as well. So, all right, Jay Zackstad, great episode as usual. Keep them coming. That's very cool. Jay Zackstad, great episode as usual. Keep them coming. Thank you. Always appreciate the feedback. I'm sure Ken does as well. Fillmore Midwest. I only recently got hits because the album is 60 minutes. I got the CD, assuming the final would sound terrible given the side lengths. Your comments on the promo sounding good may change my mind. And again, that's kind of a question for Marcus Almighty or professionals in the industry. While the guidelines for a side being about 20 minutes before certain frequencies start getting, I think they get cut off or degraded, maybe that material on the album didn't have those frequency ranges in order to, suffer from being crammed onto a side of an album. Again, the method of its recording, they call it glorified demos, but having heard quite a few of the demos, they're not that glorified. So again, there's something technical. Maybe the material just didn't suffer from that treatment. So make up your own mind. Go find a copy. It's always good. All right, Kiss versus Heavies. Kiss by Heavies headphone shells. That's just a little bit of I'm going to do more of those for Kiss product that are coming out. Again, whether they interest me or not, I think it is worth just throwing up a quick video about a product that's being released. I've got another one I'm going to record this week for a product that's coming as well. Again, whether you're interested in them or not, just an opportunity to, again, as a fan community, promoting Kiss, the brand, the band, whatever it is, doesn't do any harm. And again, the consumer has the power to purchase or not to purchase, or to click play and find out more or not. None of which matters. Joseph Kiss Sr. Heavies does shells with a ton of different bands, so I guess I'm not super surprised on this licensing deal. To JG's point, Pop House needs to make their money back on the IP deal. Yeah, and Pop House has just bought Iron Maiden, so can't wait to see what they start doing around that IP. Ken gets in on this one. No thanks. I didn't order them either, so there we go. Main episode of the week was, of course, Too Big, Too Fast. And I don't know whether we got into that one as much as we could have, kind of thinking it from all those different angles, but it, at least provided a foundation for a conversation on Saturday. Dakota Escher, thanks for your comments. You often comment on a lot of our videos, and it is appreciated. Ace and Peter are always liabilities. I'm going to take issue with the word liabilities. They certainly had more toxic chemical issues during the originals era, which cannot be denied. But that four-wheel drive had four equal wheels, even if one person was steering and another person was navigating and two guys were in the back seat. Again, the critical foundation of Kiss was its four ingredient parts. No Ace, no Peter, no problem. Well, the 80s say that that's not entirely accurate. Don't believe me? Listen to Alive to Side 4. I don't know what the point is there. That's Bob Kulick on 4 of the songs, Ace is on 1, and Peter's on all. So it's anything to the counter is unsubstantiated hearsay. Destroyer, Sweet Pain, fair enough. But then again, listen to the original. It is what it is. Train Kept a Rolling, same deal. Paul's solo record, that's Apples and Oranges, Creatures. Paul and Gene egos. They all have egos. All four of them have egos. So I'll take that as a fair point, Dakota. My God, Ace's ego is beyond. Yeah, they all had oversized egos. Look at Aerosmith as well. Look at many bands. It goes part and parcel. I don't think within the context of when I'm talking about their egos, I'm using that to offset the other kind of negative personality traits. Both of those guys didn't succumb to chemical or other sins, but they certainly succumbed to power, ego, fame, and the negative connotations that go with that. That was my only point. That they weren't they were changed by fame in as much as Ace and Peter were. So I think that's my point. But you also have a very fair point. Our band lasted 50 plus years and is still going. Fans since 1975. Bruce, Eric Singer, Tommy saved Kiss, and are the unsung heroes. You know what? I'll agree with you. They are the unsung heroes, and they're slowly being written out of the history, which is why I appreciate what Bruce does in keeping his era of the band alive. All right, getting back to the comments, 351 TGV. This is a long comment, so this is going to be the main point of this discussion today on the feedback loop. And I'll go paragraph by paragraph by this before interjecting any of my thoughts. For me, I'm not fussed that we, the fans, only had 2 more studio albums from the band named Kiss, but not the original members. And yes, opens up another Pandora's box, because instead we ended up with more new music from the individuals, regardless of whether they were any good. Asshole is garbage, as is One for All, while Live to Win and Anomaly are enjoyable for the most part. That said, some of Ace's later stuff, yeah, okay, pass, and even Bruce solo EPs are okay for what they are. And the new Peter Criss album is being nice, is average at best. Yes, it's good to see Peter making new music, but seriously, it's not good. And that is being polite as much as I can about. Well, otherwise, as the kids say today, it would be considered glazing. I don't think it is glazing, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, I'm emotionally connected to Peter and his music, but the vast majority of people like the album. So you don't like it, no biggie. One for All. Again, I like that we got new music from all of these guys. We got One for All. We got Live to Win. We got Asshole, which, it may be a potpourri of quality, but there are songs that I like on there that I'm glad that he gave the full treatment to. Anomaly as well, for that matter. I totally agree that we got 2 more studio albums from Kiss. I said it during the show that I was glad that by having Sonic Boom released, that Psycho Circus was no longer the bookend to Kiss's recording career. Monster was a bonus, but by that point, the machine was breaking down, and a song like Long Way Down, which is absolutely fantastic for my tastes, doesn't sound as great as it could have been had it been recorded years earlier. But then again, it wouldn't have existed years earlier, perhaps. So again, Tommy's a big part of the writing on those albums, as well as Gene and Paul. Both he and Eric get solo spots singing, features to include them, and they're more band products. So again, Monster and Sonic Boom to me are more than worthy and justify their existence. Again, I was very happy to get 2 more studio albums from Kiss. Continuing on with 351 TGV's essay, what continues to irritate me is not Gene overselling Kiss. That is Gene being Gene. All he knows is promotion, all sizzle, no steak. Or Paul continuing to say The Elder is a good album, but not a good Kiss album. Hey, Paul, it is a Kiss album, period. So is Carnival of Souls. It's the fans that continue to feed their ego by buying everything that Kiss or now Pop House promotes. Enough already. Stop buying their merchandise that is being produced. The more geeks continue to suck at the teat, the more crap that will be produced. And yes, that is a shot at Lonnie. As I said several months ago, stop being a mark and realize that the band and its management don't give a flying F about you. All they want is your money. I don't know where to go with that, to be perfectly honest. That's the nature of business. Everyone votes with their wallet. I've said that earlier during this, video for the headphones. And the same goes for any of the things that I do. It resonates with some people, it doesn't with others. I don't profess to tell other people what to do with their money. How they get their joy in life and what they perceive as trash or treasure is completely different to my perspective. So I don't believe that my perspective is more right than theirs. So I think to that point, I will just say, 351 TGV, do what's right for you. And eventually, if you are correct and everything that they're putting out is slop, it's going to dry up as we die off, or it isn't commercially viable. It would not exist if it wasn't commercially viable. Whether it's that they've sold a license to someone to put out a product, and whether it fails or succeed doesn't matter to them. They've been paid up front. Again, those licenses will dry up if there's a reputation within the industry that buying a license from the Kiss brand is not, it's a scarlet letter against your product. So the market takes care of itself, and the consumer can take care of themselves. Don't worry about everything else. It's just static. All right, so the good things from 351 TGV. These audio shows, great for a lazy Sunday morning in my local time zone, and the many fan books the passion of the fans continue to have about this band and its members, good, bad, and indifferent. The other audio video shows, except for some which continue to suck at Gene's teat way too much, and the history retrospective by, again, fans of the band. For me, other than the music itself, there is nothing left that interests me. I rarely listen to the music anymore, save for a list of top 30, 10 of which are Ace's 78 solo, and I split makeup, non-makeup for the rest. Thank you. As someone who just puts out shows like this for people to listen to or press fast forward or stop or skip on, it's food for thought. That's all it is. It's a two-way conversation, even though only one of us is on the side of the mic. The comments section is critically important to what we do and the feedback. There's a lot of good stuff still out there. Emil's still putting out great stuff at Axology. Destroyer fanzines putting out a lot of great content in their magazine. There are a lot of great projects that I can't talk about, unofficial and official, that are coming down the pipeline, or that are hoped to be coming down the pipeline, for that matter. So hope. Rebellions are built on hope. Hope is such a big word, but I think that the future for those of us who stay interested will find stuff that does engage with us. All right, final comment from 351 TGV. One final thing. It does not matter if Kiss flew too close to the sun and exploded literally the way it did. We can't change history, and as such, the way it unfolded is what happened. Does anyone think that Eddie Kramer would have made Kiss into the public if he did Destroyer? See, that type of speculation is not good at all. How do we know? Because Kiss Alive is actually what made Kiss, not Destroyer. Mark is right about Ezrin for the most part. There you go, Mark. You just got a good point. Again, all of that is great. 351 TGB, thank you for taking the time to write all those thoughts. I mean, that's a very extensive comment to kind of tackle. Eric Krakow 771, I think, is how the name said. Too big, too fast for the success of the band, not at all. Things happened the way they were supposed to. So that echoes the previous sentiment. Too big, too fast for the members of the band, definitely. They weren't prepared to handle success. And I think by the time they get that success, 1976, middle of the year, Bill Aucoin had pretty much engineered up to the stadium run. Those shows were penciled in January of 1976, building on the success of Kiss Alive and its breakout, and what David Forrest and promoters throughout the country were planning to do for the summer of 76, big stadium rock shows, and that predates Glickman Marx. Once Glickman Marx comes in and it becomes more of a business, and we talk about the money burn, where everything became a line item. So they're feeding a lot of families on the strength of their success on the concert trail and through record sales. There's a lot of hungry mouths to feed, and it's not just the four creators and the manager who takes his cut off the top. Then it becomes a bit of a doom loop, to my way of thinking, that it was always not going to end well because they were burning more and more money. No one was keeping the band members in check for extravagant lifestyles. or taking care of their futures. They were trying to with investments, but they weren't always the best investments. And a lot of the time you don't know that until you've lost all the money. Oh, that wasn't such a good idea. But with a little bit of warning, they probably could have had a bit more stashed away. So that's the big change for me. That's still worthy of another treatment. Last comment for today, Charles Bronson. I think they changed far too fast in 1979. The costumes, the color, the stylistic changes in music, even though Dynasty is an absolutely brilliant album. The stage or lack thereof, the slower pace, one album per year, etc. 1979 was like culture shock if you were a Kiss fan. Yeah, it was a pretty big culture shock. I wasn't there, but when you come back from a long absence, you put out 4 solo albums, and then you go Vegas, and music has changed. A lot of bands have emerged. Van Halen's established. Judas Priest is breaking out. It's a big change, and all of a sudden, you've got Liberace visually, Elton John stylistically. So, yeah. But we won't bag on the kids anymore, because the kids of KISS are what make up a large part of this community. The kids who became fans because of Phantom, who liked the lunchboxes and the Mego dolls and all that stuff, which I can't stand. But we're a KISS Army. We got a whole bunch of different sorts of people. Thanks for joining me. See you next time. Oh, look, you're still here, watching or listening. We're not sponsored, monetized, or supervised. We're only in this for subs and likes and kicks. So why don't you mash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment about today's episode.